It is time for the DreamBot report on August 13th, 2025. It's always important to go look into the collective unconscious, but if you have not watched the CIRF report, the energy for the upcoming week that starts tomorrow, I'll put that link right here. You need to watch that first because this is sort of just a booster to it. It's the most current reading of the collective unconscious before that week starts. Week starts on the 14th of August, 2025. That's what that CIRF report is for the following week. So anyway, let's get started. This is called Floating Off to the Realms, and that is very tightly correlated to both the astrology and something new I have today is a reading, an oracle reading. And what I intended, because I have three different piles of oracle cards. I have a planet, I have a zodiac sign, and a house. And so what I intended today is to have the best type of reading for the National Dream Center tribe. And I will present that reading after we talk about the DreamBot. Here it is, big picture. We extend last week's online forum and online community into a much more robust plethora of words. And then we also have number 2, so that was 12 words and now 9 words, spirituality, the majestic. So people are fleeing the 3D reality, or at least in the collective unconscious, or thinking about fleeing the 3D reality, and they're going online, or they're going to spirituality. We also have 7 times of, ironically, the word time, 7 words associated with time. Now, before I get into the actual words and the themes, note that these words I couldn't group into. One of them was a little group, audio and music. These words didn't have any more than that. So we also have need and island. I think those are all seemingly very important, but I couldn't figure out how to place them properly. So let's talk about the red arrows. This is online. We don't have to read all the way through them. It's obviously online forum stuff. And that could be explained because the bot goes into DreamBot forums. It could be that those words are there, but that's how I have a baseline. I have a baseline for each word, tens of thousands of words in the dictionary, and we have a baseline. So that's why when it goes to the same site, all the words in that site that always show up, those eventually wash out because it's not going to be different than the baseline. So it's still important here because something is kicking off these forum words above their baseline. So still important. Spirituality, let's look at those. So I looked at Aug and August, and the kind of the Latin background to it was like Majestic, or Augusta is obviously from Augusta, and or Augustus. And apparently Caesar or whoever created the word August wanted to signify majesty, majestic, and venerable, I think was the other word. So somewhat spiritual, but like on the high end of majesty. Then we have the word spiritual and the word spirituality, so that's obvious. Then we have the word mean, and that could be obviously angry, but it also can mean that spirituality gives meaning. That's just the way I took it. Also hidden, spirituality, hidden, and then other people think that spirituality is about learning, like our lives are a spiritual journey to learn something. So, and by the way, we have baby and death. We have 2 ends of this 3D reality. You come in from the spirit world as a baby, and then you enter into the mundane, and then you die. That sounds like a cake song. Well, anyway, you guys know what that is. Come in as a baby, you leave at death, and you come in from the spirit world. This is obviously a belief system, and then you die and you go back to the spirit world or wherever you go. Just the unexplained, right? And then lastly, we have time. These are Aug and August. We have yesterday, last week, GMT, and days. So obviously, the theme of time. Time is a pretty common theme in our DreamBot, but 7 words, it's probably a little uptick in that theme. Okay, so now let's get into the reading, because everything we talked here, when you see these cards, you're going to say, I think he just went into the deck and handpicked the cards. No, I didn't. Neptune, you can't make this stuff up. But that's the nature of these readings. I have recently started doing readings for psychotherapy clients, astrology clients, and I'm astounded by the accuracy. So anyway, again, how I did this before I pressed record on this video, I did an intention for each one of these 3 groups that I want to have a reading for the National Dream Center tribe, our forum, our community. What would be the best advice or best reading for them? So we have Neptune in Scorpio, so obsessive and passionate, and in the 9th house, the house of spirituality, philosophy, higher education, long journeys, foreign lands, and spirituality, religion, maybe law. Scorpio, intensely, passionately, obsessive, mysterious, secretive, transformative, and intuitive. Neptune, we think of dreams, we think fantasy, escape, imagine, intuit, spiritualize, mystify, escapism, but transcend, and ideal is in there. So, what do we know? Well, if you're under this influence, the worst type of complaints that you might experience would be a feeling lost in like a hazy dream world, or struggling to ground in intuitive insights, overwhelmed by intensity of emotions, or attachment to mystical fantasies. That would be like spiritual bypassing. So you have like real physical problems, but we're going to like kind of drift away and bypass this. Obsessing over hidden agendas, possibly. That sounds like the old self for me. Disconnected from worldly responsibilities. Again, that's not saying that everybody's going to experience that, but that in accordance with the reading, that would be some common complaints. The highest potential for this reading in this arrangement, Neptune and Scorpio in the 9th house, suggests that this is a time for transcending mundane limitations, to enter into the spiritual realm of uncovering universal spiritual truths, pioneering groundbreaking philosophies, and embarking on profound inner journeys. Does this not sound like some of the astrology that we talked about in the CIRF report? Hang on, there's more. So, what are some practical suggestions that we should consider this week, given that is definitely overlapping into the astrology, which I'll show you next? But obviously, picking up a spiritual routine, including meditating, may be considered a different kind of meditation for this week. If you want to study world esoteric traditions or religions, undertake contemplative spiritual practices, explore diverse cultural and belief systems, look into metaphysical, travel to sacred sites, engage in transformative personal retreats, volunteer for humanitarian aid organizations, and mentor others in their spiritual growth. So, in summary, this reading implies a profound calling to transcend the mundane through intense spiritual exploration and alchemical transformation. The key is to balance intuitive insights with grounded practical applications, and this is exactly what the astrology taught us. But not just the astrology, it's what the astrology unlocked in the Rave Mandala. And it's also what the I Ching told us. In the solution from this last week, we had hexagram 4 of the I Ching, which was youthful folly, which basically means be yourself, be your true self. Curiously learn and try to not be somebody else. Don't be arrogant and impulsive, and just be yourself unapologetically. And guess what? That's a perfect match to Neptune and Saturn. We keep on harping on that because these are slower planets that all kind of have that same arrangement, but it's so important. It unlocks the kite. The kite is to fly higher and higher towards your ideal self because it's in Aries. And then that dreamy Neptune and Saturn unlocks hexagram 25 of the Rave, which is innocence. And it's like survival, but it's not ego survival. It's the true innocence, the like deconditioning. All the things that you've learned over the course of your life is like another layer of the onion, another kind of persona, somebody you have to be, or that you best got your needs met. Like deconditioning all those to leave this inner child barren that had no experiences whatsoever, ideally, like decondition all of those layers and be your unapologetic true self. It's survival of the true innocence. Okay, it's all correlated. It's all here. And so this reading is profound, in my opinion, because it verifies the way we talked about it in the CIRF report is vitally important for us if you want to get to those deeper layers of self, higher transcendent states of spirituality, and if you want to see a better world, this is how you do it. The world doesn't need another version of somebody famous. They need you. They need the real you. So be your true self, and this is the week to do it. Also, when we get to when Neptune and Saturn go exact, and I believe that's in February of 2026, they'll go back into Pisces and then return, go direct back into Aries, and then make their perfect conjunction. And so this reading will be there as well. So you get a practice, you get a rehearsal for the showtime in February of 2026. So don't waste this opportunity. All right, everybody, that's all I have. Have a blessed week. We'll see you on Monday for the next CIRF Report. Namaste.